Hello and welcome to another update video about AVAX. On the AVAX chart, the situation has not really changed. The situation is basically still the same. Also, the price hasn't really moved much since the last update, even though it's a very volatile coin at the moment and seems to have woken up when it broke our descending trend line down there that we talked about before. We also talked about the breakout when it happened, and then talked about the possibility to reach here, obviously higher prices in a corrective rally. So we talk about the chart first on the daily time frame. On the AVAX chart, there are basically, well, there's the yellow wave count, which is the bearish one. I've added a more bullish interpretation, but really, again, that can really only be taken very seriously if we see further evidence for it and if we see a break above $86. In both scenarios, however, it doesn't appear that the rally is over, so it might still push higher. But bear in mind that this has a great potential to simply be a corrective rally. I just want to highlight that. So it just means your risk management needs to be spot on if you're trading a corrective rally. I think the next, let's say the next pullback entry point might be this B wave pullback. So obviously it depends on your time frame, right? But obviously we need to use a time frame here in the videos that's manageable. Doesn't make sense to analyze like 30-minute charts in a YouTube video because things are changing very quickly. And the market here on the AVAX chart especially is just too dynamic. You know, it will have moved. It will have moved already after I've uploaded the video anyway. So we just need to focus on a time frame that's also manageable for most people. We have on this chart the situation that originally, in the beginning, we have a three-wave move up. So we have an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave. I mean, that should be crystal clear to any Elliott wave analyst, to anybody out there. This is a three-wave move. There's no, whatever you do, you cannot count 5 waves, right? I mean, that's just fact. I mean, there are obviously still bullish options, bearish options, but whenever you have a three-wave move up initially, you just need to be on the side of caution. It's just not good for a chart. I've seen thousands of coins die. Now, again, I always need to make sure people understand I'm not suggesting that AVAX will die, but it means that AVAX has much more to prove than, for example, other coins that have already shown that they have developed impulses to the upside instead of ugly three-wave structures. So it could just be a coin that continues to move in three-wave structures. So, for example, this here might just be an A wave. This just might be a B wave with a C wave to come. Yeah. So it could just continue to move in three-wave structures. That then might just be a larger A wave. It comes down in B, next bear market, and then C. Or, again, whenever a coin, it's not only a coin, whenever any chart moves in three-wave corrective structures, it's typically more difficult to track. It's also less, you could say, predictable. Now, if the white count works out, what would be a target? Let's say a bull market target. Well, all I could do really is to watch for the 100% extension level until I see further evidence in the subwave structures, and then we talk about. But that's a bit ridiculous. Okay, we talk about $520. Okay, so that's a bit ridiculous. I would not use that as a target to say, okay, he did say we get there, I'm gonna go all in. That's not the way to do it. This is only one scenario, and it's one that needs to prove itself. So it's all about risk management and taking it level by level. If this really was the scenario, then I would have to say that we are currently dealing with a wave 1. Then we get a wave 2 pullback instead of AB. We should then, in a third wave, break resistance, get a wave 4 pullback, and move up in wave 5. Okay, so to me, it doesn't matter at all at the moment if this is the yellow wave count, which is overall bearish, or if it's the white one, because you will not know the difference until we break resistance. And in both scenarios, if the next pullback is corrective, this could present an entry opportunity for anybody who's looking for pullback trades. Yeah. So that would then be for a potential C wave rally in wave 2 or for a third wave rally in wave C. So it doesn't matter if I call this here an ABC or if I call that a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They will only move away from each other after that rally up, basically, right? Depending on where we stop. We don't need to be so much concerned with a bigger picture, even though context is important. The context tells us that we just need to be on the side of caution with AVAX. It's an altcoin, you know, and they are anyway more risky, also due to chart history. But if you then have an altcoin that has only topped in 3 waves, it's always worth to be extra cautious. That doesn't mean it has to go down. No, it just means that it has more to prove, and it means that any rally is likely corrective until proven otherwise. Now, if we now watch the structure, there isn't much I can tell you when we look at the microstructure. The chart doesn't really give me enough material to work with. Best I can do is this time frame, in which we are dealing with a low that was made in January, and then here an A, B, C structure. We're likely in a C wave impulse right now. Targets point towards $30 to 40 for this move up in an A, B, C structure. The C wave, let me zoom in. So this is resistance, you know, but the C wave often reaches the 1.618 extension level of the A wave. And that is basically at $30, yeah, $29 to $30, depending on how accurately I measure that. I would not seek I would not seek absolute precision on this chart. So target means it doesn't need to stop there, but it's the ideal target, yeah. Typically, if the assumption is correct, this is an ABC structure, then the A wave would oftentimes finish between the 38.2 to the 50% retracement level. So I would pay attention to these fib levels, and that doesn't mean we have to get there, right? Bear in mind, this is a corrective rally, but I can only give you key levels to watch. So we've got $29 and $40 as key levels. And then if we then see a nice pullback, then yeah, this could be a setup for a C-wave rally. Pullbacks can be shallow, as this pullback has shown back in 2021. This is just something everybody needs to understand. Pullbacks can be extremely shallow. Also, this was an A, B, C structure, yeah? So I just want to tell you that, because sometimes people wait for deep pullbacks, but B waves can take all shapes and sizes, really. They can be extremely, extremely shallow. This larger B wave then was a nice sizable pullback, okay? So just that you understand the context here. Sometimes people say, oh, you know, it didn't work because we never got that pullback. Well, the pullback sometimes shows it's just shallow, and that risk always exists with B waves. So, you know, that's just then not an opportunity if it's just very shallow, okay? Unless you can really, you know, unless you find a way to trade it. Now, at the moment, in the very short term, precision isn't really there. So we haven't really got a reliable micro count, but I gave you a support area in the last video, which did actually hold here between 1932 and 2035. These are just levels to watch for a pullback. I will increase that slightly with the latest high. The idea was that below $19.58, we have a first and early signal that this rally might be over and that wave A might have topped already. But it's only an early signal. It's an indication. It's not even a confirmation. So for a confirmation, I need to see a break below $15.52, you know, based on where we currently are. It's just that the precision is just not here. You know, this just doesn't give you a clear micro count. I can give you all sorts of wave counts. They just wouldn't work. They just would be not reliable. Okay, I can tell you that. So people would then, you know, I know everybody wants micro counts, but then, you know, I can guarantee they would be invalidated because there's nothing reliable there to work with on this time frame. We can still track though the larger time frames. This isn't even clearly an impulse. I mean, the problem with crypto rallies, sometimes the 1-2 setups are tiny. Yeah, this is also not useful anyway. So we've got the fibs, we've got the last swing low, and we've got the bigger picture. And I gave you some targets and key support levels to watch for. And as soon as we have a, let's say, larger degree top in place, I can give you a support for B. It's a bit too early for that, really. Yeah, that's my update about AVAX. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.